Hello everybody, welcome back to the Writer channel. One of the things you may not have noticed about me is that I am bald. But that happened about 20 years ago. I've gotten over it. I figured out my style, all good. For today, however, we're gonna pretend it's a big deal to me. What would it be like if I could suddenly regrow my hair? All right, so let's imagine that I started a hair loss company, Hairstute, that helps folks with treatment to prevent hair loss or help them regrow. And we've been around for 10, 15 years. We've got a great website, but it's optimized for traditional search. Search engine optimization, SEO, in the old days was about getting keywords in so you would rank at the top of those blue links when somebody went to a search engine. Today, things are changing really rapidly. Publishers are seeing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of their traffic drop off as people go to AI chatbots to discuss topics and ask for suggestions of where they should go to figure out the best gift for Christmas, the best dry dog food, or in this case, the best way to stop themselves from losing or perhaps regrowing their hair. All right, so what I'm gonna show you is a playbook we built that helps you take your website with its basic SEO and convert the keywords you've optimized for into natural language queries. So they match the way somebody would be talking to an AI chatbot, therefore driving up your rankings and making it more likely that the AI will be recommending your company. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around and I'll show you how it's done. All right, so first things first, let's go check out my website. Like I said, we've been around for 10 years. We got a great website. We help people restore their confidence with treatments, transplants, laser therapy. Amazing. You can check out our different treatments here, prescriptions, lots of detail about each one. You can look at our results here on the About page. We've got some numbers. In the old world of SEO, this has a lot of what we're looking for. You know, what do we have? What does it do? What are the details, okay? People might be Googling, you know, this kind of treatment or that kind of treatment after they hear about it on TV or read about it on Reddit, whatever it may be. But let's pretend for a minute that now I'm seeing my traffic go way down and I want to figure out how do I get people to notice my brand inside of a chatbot. All right, so we're going to head over here to a playbook we built called Create Natural Language Queries. So what does this do? Generates natural language AI search queries for target personas based on traditional keyword data. And as you can see, you drop in your personas, your company name, your domain. You can give it a bunch of keyword data like your Ahrefs. You got an SEM, perhaps export from SEMrush or Screaming Frog, one of those places. So then you run this with all of those various form fields filled out, and it's going to research, ingest and prioritize keyword data, synthesize that into natural language, and generate an output for you to take a look at. So here is the result of a finished run that I did. I took a look at my website, figured out 91 keywords, and transformed them. So we're gonna start with the personas it has. It's got our early warrior, stabilization seeker, aggressive intervener, feminine restoration. And then it looked at the keyword data. Okay, what are the things that people used to look for, you know, and that have a high keyword volume, okay? This was all keywords. We've got informational, commercial. This is the kind of stuff that used to make sense in a world dominated by traditional search. But it needs to perform some query synthesis. So map these words for these different personas to what somebody might say to a chatbot. I'm noticing my hairline is starting to recede a bit. You know, what are some treatments that can stop this from getting worse? Which hair growth products actually work? And you know, what science is that based on? It gives you some great examples here about forced versus natural phrasing, and then, you know, dives into its analytics to show you where you can get your best, you know, sort of bang for your buck investing in transformation, as well as an executive summary, sort of what it found, the project overview, and its key strategic recommendations. All right, everybody, just one quick thing I want to show you here, which I think is interesting. I've got my lovely Hairstute website. I can pull up a dashboard about generating natural language. But when I'm writing a playbook, what drives the playbook? So inside of a playbook, we can also now use something called skills. So you might be familiar with this term from across the industry. I like to think of skills like this. You're building a playbook, you're giving it instructions. You're building a house, you're talking to the contractor or the specialist. Skills is sort of like saying, when you build this part of the house, make sure you use the expert in cement and foundations and make sure he uses these tools in this order. When you go to build the floor, talk to the carpenter. When you go to do the electricity and the wiring, talk to the electrician. And this is my list of build, materials, cost, time I want spent. So skills is a way of embedding sort of hyper-specific language in there. And the nice thing about skills, of course, is over time, as I'm working as a marketer, I might do the same thing in many different ways, just like a builder might build many different houses. And so skills is this vast repertoire of tools which can be shared across my team, across my organization, which I can then pull in and embed inside of a playbook. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like here. Let's say I go over here and I pull up my playbooks, right? I've got my SEO keywords to natural language generation playbook here. And if I were to run the playbook, I would fill it out, instructions, et cetera, et cetera. But inside of this playbook, I've also got use keyword analyzer optimizer. So this here is a skill that's embedded inside that I've written that has some very specific guidelines and calculations. So if I go over here now and I go to manage writer and I go to skills, I've got my keyword analyzer optimizer. This is a skill I built which has a lot of our ideas around SEO best practices. And if you want to view the skill and dive in deeper, as you can see, it's got a lot of constraints, ideas around targeted keyword analysis. It's got script that it runs in Python to do scoring on certain keywords. And so every time I write a playbook, I don't want to have to add all that information in. That adds a lot of context that can overwhelm the agent. Instead, the agent does a tool call to the skill, runs that, and is able to execute sort of a task within a larger workflow. All right, so that's a little download on skills inside of playbooks, and I'm sure that's something we'll get into more later on. So this is a great example of one of the things that our agents can do really well. We do this stuff in-house to drive Writer to the top of a ton of the world's most popular AI search and query and question engines. We dog food this stuff and we have seen the results. We've done it with a ton of clients, and we have now a whole suite of SEO, AEO, GEO based agents that are being built by folks internally who have decades of experience in traditional SEO and are keeping on top of the best practices in what is a really rapidly transforming industry. All right, if that was interesting for you and you want to learn more, we've got tons of stuff about this playbook, link in the comments. And of course, as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. We're coming back every week with another example of a great playbook for an AI agent built by folks on the Writer marketing team and something we actually use in-house to produce our own results on the GEO landscape.